Alright, you two people, I'm gonna be straight up with you guys. So, I smoked a little bit of weed, got myself into that thought-provoking mood. I took a shower, I got my cup of coffee here. It's nice and warm and freshly brewed from a French press. I just took a shower, I ate some breakfast. I'm good to go to talk about some Persona 5 spoilers. And let me just say this, I would have rather have used some footage from the game Persona 5 myself. I would have rather just used footage of the actual cutscenes I'm going to be discussing here. But the whole time I wanted to share videos from this game, Atlus has this thing going on, and I'm going to get into this a little bit. I kind of sympathize with what they did here. I kind of think I disagree a little bit, but basically what they did was they made it very difficult for people to share videos from Persona 5. They basically made it impossible. Using the PS4 share feature list, you gotta use a capture card, which I have not bought yet. I've been thinking of getting one, maybe I will. Because it would really help to get a capture card for making some of these reviews. It wouldn't have to be so much videos of just me sitting here. You know, we're talking about games, and it's kind of sucks that I can't show you guys the actual part of the game that I want to show you guys. Another thing is, like, the PS4 share feature is stuck at 30 FPS for whatever reason. Like, I wanted to make a video showing how the PS4 Pro was a lot better in terms of performance compared to the original PS4, for Final Fantasy at least. When I played Final Fantasy the first time, the performance was significantly worsened compared to when the boost mode patch came out, the Final Fantasy patch came out for the PS4 Pro. Man, that game runs fucking sick now. But yeah, other people have made videos about this. Jim Sterling has made videos about this. Other people have talked about how Atlus is kind of getting very... And the thing is, I understand why they did it. I get it. Because they know that their product, Persona 5, is so heavily dependent on narrative. So, again, with this video, I'm being straight up. If you have not beaten Persona 5, do yourself a favor. If you have not seen the end of this game yet, please, I implore you, do not ruin Persona 5 for yourself. Pause the video. I don't mind if this video doesn't get many views. I'm okay with that. You can turn it off, close the window, watch another one of my videos, watch my review of Persona 5 if you want, watch anything else than this video. Because I'm about to talk, I'm not just talking some first month, second month, third month of the game spoilers. I'm talking the credits are about to fucking roll spoilers, you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about the final boss just showed up spoilers. So, if you don't want that shit spoiled for yourself, and all of you should not want to get it spoiled, please turn off this vid, alright? I've given you guys fair warning. Now I'm going to get into the heavy spoilers of Persona 5. So the first thing I want to talk about is Goro fucking Akechi. This character, and I gotta say this as well. I've said in my review, I played it in Japanese, so that's not my first language. That's like my third language, basically. Which I've spent a lot of time learning. I would say I've gotten like intermediate level Japanese. Some parts of the plot I found a little bit difficult to follow because of that. But the overarching majority of the plot I understood. The side quests I did not spend as much time on because, like, sometimes it was just so much reading and, like, no voice dialogue. For those of you guys who do not know, if you're gonna learn Japanese as a second language, the hardest part is reading. There's like 2,000 characters in kanji. You gotta learn 2 alphabets, hiragana and katakana, which I already know, like, down pat. I already know that shit like the back of my hand. The kanji's a little... Not just a little bit more difficult. It's like a lifetime more difficult. Like, it's like Japanese people cannot read a newspaper until they're in high school difficulty. Like, if you ever read a newspaper in middle school growing up in, like, an English-speaking country like America, Canada, whatever, you don't do that in Japan. Because if you're a Japanese kid, you try to read the newspaper, it's really fucking hard to read it because there's a bunch of characters you haven't learned in school yet. And I'm still like a middle schooler in Japan, like, basically, in terms of my vocabulary. So, some parts of the plot were hard to follow. but it was not hard to follow why Goro Akechi was an amazing character. So this is the thing I love about Goro. Goro is, you can tell as soon as you meet Goro, he's probably the smartest teenager in the game, besides the protagonist himself, and arguably Futaba, but Futaba is sort of a prodigy in her own way, in that she's like a computer hacking prodigy. At like age 14 or 15 or something like that. But Goro is more cunning. Goro is more sneaky. Goro has deeper secrets, and he has courage. He has two things that are very dangerous for a person to have. He has immense cunning and boldness. And these two characteristics make a fantastic character out of Goro Akechi. The thing with this guy I liked is that, like, instantly as soon as you meet Goro, like, all the girls are just like, oh my god, it's Akechi-kun, oh my god. And, like, all the adults are like, oh, it's that child genius, that detective from high school, Goro Akechi. I wonder what he has to say. Like, everybody's always listening to what Goro's saying about the Phantom Thieves and why he's suspicious of them. And you keep trying to think, like, is he on your side? Is he not on your side? You know, in the beginning of the game, it's very sneaky. He kind of just shows up in certain scenarios. And you're always like, was that just a coincidence that Goro was there? Or did he intend to do that? And later on, you find out he intended pretty much everything, because this guy's like 10 times more sneaky motherfucker than you thought he was. Because, man, I did not get the game spoiled at all for myself when I played through it. So for me, I'm serious, you guys, if you haven't fucking played through the game, turn off the fucking video. This is my last warning. I'm not gonna warn you guys again. Because, man, that scene when Goro comes into the investigation room, where the protagonist, you've been in this investigation room basically from the beginning of the game. From the intro of the game, they introduce that the whole story is being told with the protagonist in this interrogation room. And then Goro just comes in, boom! Right in the fucking protagonist. Boom! You're fucking... Like, I couldn't fucking believe it. I was like, holy fuck, did I just lose the game? I thought when this happened, I thought I fucked up the game. I thought I was like, I just had to restart my file because I got the bad ending or some shit, man. Holy smokes. And then, of course, it turns out that when you make the right choices, the protagonist actually had a set of certain things that he was going to do to kind of escape this scenario that he knew he was caught in, or that he was going to get caught in eventually. And man, it's kind of like magic almost, how this fucking guy survives. Which is why they call him the trickster, the true trickster, or whatever. I think that, I don't know what they're going to call him in the English version, but they keep saying he's the real trickster, or something like that, or the true trickster. Because, basically, the protagonist cheats death. Even after he gets a bullet in his brain, somehow he comes back to life. And that's kind of fucking crazy. Like, you gotta admit, even the final boss of this game does not successfully kill the protagonist. The only person who successfully kills the protagonist at any time, or almost gets like right fucking a millimeter away, fucking quarter inch away from killing the protagonist, is Goro Akechi. So that should tell you something. Man, like, I gotta say, when that part of the game happened, I was fucking shocked. I thought I fucking lost the game, and then he fucking came back to life. I was like, holy fuck. This protagonist is a fucking badass, man. Goro himself, like, was just such a fantastic rival. I almost feel like I wish Goro was the final boss. Like the final boss of this game, Yalbudwath, or however you say his name, was, you know, it was a good boss fight with, like, the arms and stuff coming out to kill you, but, like, man, the character of Goro Akechi, I think, just had... You felt so much more connected to Akechi. I think it would have made the final boss fight a bit more hype if somehow it was like Goro had evolved into some fucked up thing, but that's not what happens. Because what happens is Goro, and man, I like, this is the thing. You kind of almost understand why Goro is so fucked up, man. Because, like, the guy had a rough life. And he's a smart guy, so he's just trying to do the best that he can with the cards he was dealt. But, like, fuck, man. Because his father doesn't even recognize him as his son. Masayoshi Shido does not even acknowledge that Goro is his son and just tries to use him as a tool. And his own mother died, I think it said in the story, if I remember correctly, died giving birth to him. So right off the bat, this guy grows up an orphan and becomes a teenage detective. So you can tell this guy overcame that hardship. But at what cost, man? At what cost because he turned into such a cold person, pretty much, as a result of all of that. Man. Because throughout the whole game, there's all these murders happening, and you're not really sure what's going on with the murders. But then, later on, you just kind of get little hints that it's Goro. Until finally, the confrontation happens, and you get confirmation, yes, it was Goro who fucked over the Phantom Thieves. It's him who's been that killer from the beginning. And man, I like how Goro as well is like one of the strongest characters in your party, and then you only get to use them for one. I kind of wish we could use Goro a little bit more. Like, man, it would have been cool if you could use Goro for like the last dungeon, but that's not the case, incidentally. Man. The boss fight with Goro, like, I wanted to beat him because I knew this guy had fucking tried to kill the protagonist. But man, the scene where Goro tells the other guys to all escape and he fucks over his own life. Man, that was fucked. That was like, it's such a tragic character, Goro Akechi, what he goes through. Ends up sacrificing himself to give the Phantom Thieves a chance. And betraying his own father in the process, man. I felt really bad for Goro Akechi. And then, of course, it's revealed later on that they were actually both the protagonist and Goro. They both have the wildcard ability to use multiple personas. And then Goro was kind of like chosen by Yalbadoth to be his like minion or it's like he was trying to test something about human nature as like a game. So yeah, I don't know. Goro Akechi, I got so attached to the character. I thought the actor, the Japanese voice actor who did Goro Akechi did a fantastic job. At first he sounds like such a soft guy, like he sounds like, oh, this guy is not threatening at all. But then you realize he's more like a light Yagami type character, where he seems non-threatening and he just seems like a model person, but actually is a fucking narcissistic psychopath who's gonna kill you. Which, of course, always makes for a good character, especially in Persona 5. So yeah, I don't know. For me, actually, I feel like my enjoyment of the game kind of lessened a little bit once Goro Akechi was deceased and once he's kind of out of the picture. Once his story arc was done, to be honest, I do feel like the best parts of the game were when Goro was in the game. And that's why I feel the game would have overall been better if somehow Goro... What if Goro had cheated death as well somehow and came back and fucked over the... Well, I guess that wouldn't really work though, because Goro kind of redeems himself by sacrificing himself, so I guess that can't really work. But yeah, man, like... I think if somehow Goro was the final boss, it just would have been better. I don't know how else to say it. Or closer to the final boss. The fight with Masayoshi Shido was fucking awesome, man, as well. The way he gets fucking deezed and shit like that. Like, you thought fighting Goro was bad. Wait until you fight Goro's dad. Oh shit. That guy just gets like 100 pounds of muscle mass and just fucking reflects physical damage and all this shit. That was a good scrap. Certain parts, certain boss fights in this game, you know what I might do? I might do for fun? I might put the game on easy, play it again, go through the dialogue again, because my Japanese has improved now, and then like, just put the boss fights on like challenge mode or some shit, just to make the boss fights Because the boss fights really are the standout of Persona 5 overall in terms of the gameplay. Like, yeah, there's some fun, random memento stuff, but come on. The best parts are the palace bosses. The best fights are always the bosses. And Shin Megami Tensei in general, pretty much, is always all about the boss fights. Especially like how this fight, it usually makes the boss fight a much more strategical affair. That's what I like. If you're gonna do a turn-based RPG, make the boss fights into fucking tactical, like, you could die almost any minute kind of scenario. So that there's actually a layer of, like, real tension and strategy to it. So that's what I like Persona 5 did. Overall, man, I don't know, that was the main thing I want to get off my chest. I kind of feel like the Yal Badoa thing was kind of like, the twist with Igor actually being the final villain was actually a pretty shocking twist to me. I wasn't expecting that. Like, I knew something was not quite right with Igor, but for him to actually be the final boss was a bit surprising to me. And like, yeah, I don't know, it was... Because apparently what happened was the voice actor for the Japanese Igor had passed away, so they replaced him with another voice actor. The voice actor who does Igor / Yal Badoath, I thought was fucking awesome. That was actually a great voice actor, whoever they picked for that. Like, I liked his voice. Very cunning sounding, very evil sounding. Even though he's the person helping you the whole game, you don't really trust him because of that voice. And then later on, it's like an old man, nice Igor, and like, you know this isn't a bad guy, just because of the voice. He sounds way too soft, way too non-threatening to be a bad guy. But yeah, that was another good plot twist, I gotta admit. And overall, I do feel like, kinda, the storyline, I don't know, it's like... Because kind of what happens is that it's all kind of the blame is shifted to being... It's because of this deity thing, Yal Badoath, that most of the corruption and the alternate world and stuff all came to... Well, the metaverse, as it's called in the English version. All that stuff came to be as a result of Yal Badoath, his influence, essentially. In a way, that does... It is similar to Persona 3 and Persona 5, so... Persona 4, I should say. So it's not like I wasn't expecting that, but at the same time I kind of wish they might have done more. Like I said, to me, although I get it that, like, it's a Persona game, there's probably an evil god at the end of it. Also, I like how literally at the end, you summon Sadnell, like fucking the devil himself. You, the ultimate trickster, summoned the devil into a god to, like, fucking kill the final boss. That was pretty funny. But, like... Yeah, I don't know, it's just... I feel like that was a little bit weak, that aspect of the storyline, personally. Like I said, if somehow it had become that Goro was the final boss, I think it would have been more hype. I think there would have been more emotional connection. Because it's just sort of a fucking ass-pull. Like, you don't really relate. You can't really... I feel like you felt more animosity towards the palace bosses in this game than you did towards the final boss, you know what I mean? The last dungeon also was not that impressive, to be honest. Like, I felt like other dungeons had more interest in puzzles. Even Shido, Sai, all those palaces, they had more interest in puzzles, I think, to begin with, compared to the final dungeon. I don't know, I almost feel like maybe they started phoning it in near the end of the game, like... Just, that's why I said pacing issues is a problem near the ending of the game, in my opinion. Because, I don't know, the last... How the game kind of accelerates near the end towards Christmas Eve being the last day, and then there's this massive dungeon crawling, and, like, massive, like... All this stuff happens on Christmas Eve. I kind of thought it was a bit too much, man. I think they could have drawn it out a bit. It just... It sort of seemed like it was an ass-pull, basically, is my problem. And I just sort of wish there was more time spent developing this villain, rather than just at the end, oh, it was all Yal Badoath. Like, oh, okay. Oh, all the villains you fought, they're actually just under the influence of this guy. Okay. I don't know, like, it sort of just rubbed me the wrong way. I felt... I felt at the most emotionally tied up I felt in this game was during the Goro story arcs. During the parts with Goro was when I felt the most engaged with Persona 5. The parts building up to the fight with Shido, a little bit less. I was still very much tied up emotionally in the game, like I wanted to know what happened in terms of the conflict, but it was a bit lessened compared to now that Goro is gone. With Yalbadoth, it was even less than Shido. It was just like, okay, here's the final boss. The Igor being the final boss thing was kind of a trip, but then afterwards it's just like, okay, now Igor is this giant boss thing that I have to kill. And on hard, at least, I actually died like 3 times to the final boss, I admit. I fucking suck at these games. I got smoked 3 times, there it is. But yeah, I did eventually kill the final boss. And yeah, it was sort of just going through the motions. Like, I did want to know the resolution. I wanted to know, like, what happens to the protagonist. How exactly, what happens to the people of the city. That one scene, though, where everybody's just like, Kaito done, Kaito done. Or I guess in the English version, they're all going to be like, Phantom Thieves, Phantom Thieves. And you just see the meter go from like 0% all the way up to 100. That part was pretty hype. That was hype, I'll admit it. But, I don't know. But up to the point where the protagonist, like, shoots the fucking guy's head. After that, it was kind of like, okay, now we're just kind of toning it down. We're getting to the epilogue. Now we're just getting to the part where you get your Valentine's date, and then you get to see the protagonist just, like, cruising down the highway, just like, yeah, I'm fucking free. I fucking saved everybody. I'm awesome. I'm the protagonist of Persona 5. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't bad, per se. It was good, but I felt overall the story was great when it was like the protagonist versus Goro Akechi. That was when I was hyped up, as long with Shido in the background. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just really liked Goro Akechi. I just thought this character was probably my favorite character in the whole Persona series, to be honest. So I was really disappointed when he goes out. And yeah, that's just what I need to get off my chest. Just thoughts about Goro Akechi. I mean, there's other stuff in this game I could talk about maybe a little bit later, but that was the main thing. Just Goro Akechi, Igor being the final boss, Igor being the traitor, the protagonist, like, saving everybody, that one hype scene at the end, and the awesome scene where you're with all your buddies and you're just like, yeah, I'm awesome. Yeah, Persona 5, good game, great story, but I don't know what it is, man. That's just my personal gripe with it. That's one of the reasons I did not feel like giving this game a 10, because Nier Automata's story was like, it kept building up and building up my emotional attachment, even after 2... Okay, I'm not gonna say that, because that's a different game, spoilers now. I don't want to spoil 2 games in the same video. I don't think I should do that, but like, Nier Automata was kind of like, it kept building up my attachment to the story and what was happening, and by the end of the game, I was in fucking tears. I was like a baby. I was like, oh my god, my mind is blasted by this game. This game is a fucking masterpiece. Persona 5, I was feeling like that during the climaxes with Goro and stuff, and versus Shido at some points in the game, but the overall resolution was just like, we're just going through the motions. Okay, the protagonist won, he saved everybody. Okay, yeah, typical happy ending I expect from a Persona game. I don't know, it was what I expected. It was too much of what I expected for the game to end with the protagonist killing some evil god thing, and everything's hunky-dory, everything's nice and happy at the end. And they sort of almost brush over Goro. They barely even mention Goro, I think, after... Oh yeah, they got rid of Morgana, and then Morgana, like, comes back like, hey guys, I was just pretending to be permanently gone. Actually, I'm just gonna chill with you guys as your pet cat for the rest of your life. Your pet talking cat. Wouldn't that be fucking cool if your cat could talk? I've had a pet cat before. no offense to you people who are cat people, but you know, most cats are just annoying assholes. Morgana was actually a bro. Morgana was a bro. So if your cat is as much of a bro as Morgana, then you have a good cat, but most people don't. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Persona 5. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Let me know how you felt about the game. If you have watched this video without beating Persona 5, I guess you just never intended to play Persona 5, so that's cool, whatever, you know. If you just want to know how the game ends, that's cool. You could do that. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, guys. I'm Mike Muhammad. Like and subscribe if you want more videos like this. Once again, thank you to all you guys for watching. Much love to you guys, and I hope you have a great day.